Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Inside the Mirror podcast. I'm your host, Kyle David, coming to you live from the living room. If you're watching, you know that. If you're listening, it means nothing to you. That's okay. If you're listening, please, if you have it in you, go to my YouTube channel. Just search Inside the Mirror on YouTube and subscribe, like, comment, share, subscribe, all the things you're supposed to say. But really, I have like 50 subscribers to my YouTube channel. I've done a terrible job. I haven't marketed it at all. But this is my marketing effort, is just asking listeners, will you please go to my YouTube and like, comment, subscribe, share? No, actually just subscribe and watch, or don't. I'll leave it at that, or don't. I still love you either way. Thanks for listening. I'm back. A lot has been happening in my life. So there was no podcast episode this past week. Actually, this will not be out for a couple weeks. Forget it. Reverse, back, settle. Okay. All right. Never mind what I said. Back and better than ever, bigger than ever. I have put on a few pounds. If you're watching, you could see, maybe you could see, I put on a few pounds since my 20 plus pound loss due to my stomach sickness. So just a random update on me. I'm getting healthier and I'm gaining some weight back. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Really busy, but wanted to hop on and record this podcast because I was thinking about this idea and I think it's helpful. So what I'm going to talk about today real quickly is I just want to talk about being able to adapt, or being willing to adapt, and the importance of adapting in life, and what that is, what it looks like, and why it's good for you, and why you need to learn to adapt in life. So anyways, I want to start off with the definition of adapt. What does it mean to adapt, right? I think we all could have our own definitions of, like, change and this and that. Well, let's just hear what the definition says. The best definition I could find that I really liked was adapt. It's adapting is adjusting to different conditions or new environments. Adjusting to different conditions or new environments. So, I mean, that is life, right? Life is constantly adjusting to new situations, new environments. That's life. That's really life. So being able to adapt well and adjust to different situations and environments is super important in life, because life, as I think we all agree on, will constantly throw you new things, new situations, new environments, right? Different conditions, different environments, new situations, new environments. And you have to be willing to adapt to them, right? We've all gone through things, right? Like whether it's health issues. I've recently dealt with health issues. Whether it's health issues or relationships or jobs or literally you could think of a million things that come in life that you have to adapt to, right? Like if you get a new job, you're going to have to adapt to a new environment and new responsibilities. If you get into a relationship, you're going to have to adapt in how you live your life and how you spend your time. And if you get out of a relationship, you're going to have to adapt to the newness, the new conditions of that. If you get sick, or say this is maybe crazy, but say you lose a leg. I know several people that have lost limbs in service to our country. Thank you for your service. So I think if you lost a limb, you then have to adapt to your new situation, your new reality. So we're always constantly moving and adapting to new situations and new conditions, or being presented with them. But are we adapting, right? Like, I think of this being a good example of not adapting. We've seen it before. We're about to see it again. And it is technology. It's the people at the beginning and the early stages of the internet that said the internet's just a fad. This isn't going to work, right? This is a fad. It'll be gone. Nobody's going to care about the internet. No one's going to. I heard a lot of people say, I wasn't around back then, but I've read that people back then were saying nobody's going to sell products on the internet. I think the statistic is somewhere north of 50% of goods purchased now are online. So the internet won, right? And it's not that those were bad people or stupid people even. It's just that they weren't willing to adapt mentally. I think a lot of it is mental, to the new realities or the different situations and environments that were coming, which is online, the internet. people weren't able to adapt to that, a lot of people, and they got left behind, or they tried to catch up. They were behind because they weren't able to adapt. And I've seen in my own life, there's been times where I've been hit with situations and I haven't been willing to adapt. And a lot of it comes from just like being comfortable where you're at, whether it's physically or again in a job, relationship, whatever, and that changes. And you don't want to let go of the comfort that you have there in whatever your circumstances, situations are. You don't want to let go of it. So you're not willing to adapt and you stay stuck. And that's something I wrote down here because I just wanted to make sure I remembered it. Is when you don't learn to adapt and you don't adapt and don't get good at adapting in life, you get stuck. Whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, you get stuck when you don't adapt, right? Like I thought of this, like when I was young and I'm going through the tunnels of the McDonald's play place or whatever, which I don't recommend. Looking back, like it had to be filled with like bacteria and germs and could be the cause of my current stomach infection, quite possibly the McDonald's play place. So I'll have to reach out to them. But anyways, but you see my point is, I didn't make the point, did I? Going through those tunnels and moving through all that stuff, I had to adapt my body, right? Maybe that's a weird analogy, but it's what came to mind is like moving and twisting and like having to adapt through the McDonald's tunnels and all the stuff that they built in the play place. I had to adapt through all that. And that was kind of just a visual I got, is that if I wouldn't have been willing to move my body and like, whatever, to adapt to get through like the next tunnel or triangle or whatever it is, I would have been stuck. I wouldn't have been able to get through. And I remember there's times, and I think if you've ever been to a McDonald's play place, you remember times probably where you felt like you were stuck in the tunnel or whatever. And it's just because your body hadn't adapted to the right form to get through. So I hope that all made sense, because that's how I think about adapting. Is that kind of visual? I know it's weird, but it's what I thought of. So that's just like life. Those tunnels that we have to squeeze through at the McDonald's play place, or the situations that we're confronted with in life, right? Again, like health-wise, relationships, jobs, pain, struggle, whatever. You have to be able to be moldable and bendable to adapt to that, to the new situations, new environments. And again, it's being willing to, right? Like when in that play place, I could just stay rigid and just be like, I'm stuck, right? But I had to just be willing to relax and then move a little bit. And it was just a willingness that would then get me through. And I think that's just like life, is that you have to have a willingness to adapt, right? We can all move our bodies if we're just willing to, but if we refuse to, like, oh, stay right here, then you're not going anywhere. And you, again, going back to like what I said, if you're not willing to adapt in life, you stay stuck. And I say this coming from someone who's done it. Like I've spent a lot of my life stuck emotionally, not so much physically, but emotionally and mentally. I stayed stuck because I wasn't willing to adapt correctly to certain situations. And even physically, right? I've had to adapt to having this stomach infection, losing all the weight. I literally had to adapt my clothes because I lost over 20 pounds the past few months. So I've had to buy smaller clothes. So I had to adapt to the new situation. If I would have just stayed stuck and be like, I'm not adapting, I would be wearing really big clothes that didn't fit me. I wouldn't be healthier because I was just like, no, I had to adapt the way I ate to cater to my infection. So I couldn't eat so much. So I had to adapt my routines of eating, my routines of taking medicine, my routines of working out, which became non-existent. I couldn't work out because of my surgery and my infection. So I had to adapt physically over the past 6 months. And that's just an example of having to adapt, right? Like new situation comes, stomach infection. I have to be willing to change the way I eat, to change to stop working out, to get new clothes, to accept that I'll be lighter physically for a little while. But I had to be willing to do those things, right? Like if I was like, I'm not spending the money on new clothes. Well, okay, fine. Then you will wear triple XL clothes that don't fit you. Or I'm not willing to change the way I eat. Well, then fine. You're not going to get rid of the infection. So again, my point there being, if you're not willing to adapt, you stay stuck. And I just wanted to talk about that because I see so many people, and again, I've been there, and I'm sure I'll be there again, where there's a point in my life where I'm unwilling to adapt to whatever the situation is. I'm not perfect and never will be. I hope you hear that. But I see so many people, and because I've done it and I see so many people just dug into their ideas and their situations and their environments, that they refuse, or anything, their relationships, their jobs, whatever, they refuse to adapt to new things or new environments that come along in life that are just part of life, right? Again, I'm single, but hopefully someday I'll be married. And when I meet my wife and we get married, I'm going to have to adapt, right? Like, I'm single, I live in this house, like I do my own thing. I don't have any I don't want to say ball and chain, but like, I don't have any attachments right now or other responsibilities outside of the ones I built for myself. But when I do get married and have kids, I'm going to have to adapt my daily routines. My mental capacity is going to have to be spread out more. I'm going to have to adapt. But adaptation is not always bad. So sometimes, many times, adapting is good. It's growth. It's something that's better for you, and it may be hard. And I think that's something, or a reason why people struggle to adapt, is because it's difficult. And I get it, because I've done it. I've been resistant to change before because it's difficult. Because we sometimes resist things that are difficult, even though they're good for us, right? So yeah, I know I kind of just went on a little rant here, but I hope it made sense. I hope it was helpful. And I'll just end it with this: as I hope nobody ever hears me talking down to you, because I know I come across like intense, aggressive, like I know it all sometimes. And that's not my intention. Like, I really want to be helpful and just share things I think are important, that are helpful, that I've learned in my own life, that have been good for me, things that I see in the world that I'm like, that we could fix this. So I'm on your team, whoever's watching or listening. Like, I'm on your side. I'm not talking to you. I'm just talking with you. I'm just talking with you. Like, I don't want it to be like, oh, Kyle's saying we should do this. Like, no, I'm saying we, including me, need to do some of these things. So anyways, I won't take up too much more of your time. I'm going to drop this right here. This is just for fun. In the idea of adaptation, the digital world is going to swallow us whole in the next decade. So adapt, be willing to understand that most of your life is going to be digitized. And don't be like the people. I just want to say this, because I know it to be true and I believe it. And I also, again, if I could go back and tell the internet naysayers, hey, this is actually the way the world is going to operate in the future. That's what's going to happen with the digital revolution we're in. Digital revolution may not even be the correct term for where we're at in the world with technology, but our lives are going to continue to become digitized. I'm looking at you through some digital technology right now. You're using your phone every day, using all kinds of digital technology. Our lives are just going to continue to be synced up with digital technology and in the digital world. So that's just something I just want to place here, whether you're interested or not. Like, the world is changing fast. Technology is growing at an exponential rate, and the digitization of everything is happening in real time, whether you know it or not. So just keep that in mind. I don't know who that's for, or if that's for anybody, but that's what I wanted to drop it here. That's the one good thing about this being my podcast, is sometimes I'm going to say some wild stuff and you'll be like, that's crazy. And we'll see. So I guess that's a weird way to end it, but I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope this is helpful. If it is, let me know. And if it isn't, let me know too. Hit me up on social media: Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, Snapchat. I'm all over it. So, and I'll reply to you. So I love you guys. Talk to you soon. God bless. Adios.